Welcome back, guys, to my YouTube series. It's Enrong here on, Grand Prix World, my career with Stewart, and we'll just go through a couple of things before we get into the race in Brazil, of course. If you haven't watched the last episode, I do recommend you have a look at it. It explains everything in depth, so you're not completely lost if you're new to the game. But yeah, you can just see a couple of things here from the last race. Looking at the news, firstly, Coulthard, of course, added another race win to his total. He obviously won a few with Williams back in 1995. Schumacher, of course, on pole. And commercial director Ian Phillips, who we tried to sign in the first episode, has actually gone to Williams, which is a bit of a disappointment. Domenicali, who also tried to sign as well, because he's the other 4-star rated commercial director. He's stayed with Ferrari. McLaren, of course, as we saw in the last episode, they managed a 1-2. Magnussen, of course, absolutely terrible, shocking driver. Finished early, but I think that was because of the Ford engine, if I remember correctly. We can have a quick look at that before we get into the race. Williams, of course, top 6 finish, both their guys. They're going to be happy with that. And Coulthard had the fastest lap in the last race. Tyrrell have signed Olivier Panis. He's actually quite a good driver in this game, in the new update. So that's a good signing by Tyrrell, considering they're a backmarker team, and it should help them progress up the grid, I think. And yeah, that's a good signing. Diniz, of course, he's going with us next season. We need the money in to replace the Ford Works deal, which we won't have, and you'll see that shortly, which was a huge shame, but it's really difficult to get when you're with Stewart in this game. We did sign John Barnard, though, as a technical director, and that is laying down the foundations for success in the 2000 and 2001 seasons in particular. We managed to, of course, attract Neil Stapleton as well, and not a bad chief mechanic, not a great one either, though. Rory Byrne, who's a really good chief designer in this game. We tried to get him, but Williams unfortunately got him. And yeah, apparently Williams are trying to retain Jack Villeneuve, which will be a good signing. An expert panel named Tom Walkinshaw of Arrow's the least effective manager. That's interesting. And Ron Dennis got manager of the month. That's not really a surprise there. Looking back at the last race again, guys, just have a quick look. Of course, that was fastest lap, sorry. On the grid, of course, Magnussen and Barrichello didn't manage to get even down 107% rule, so they didn't have a great race there. But in the end, of course, who finished with what? I guess with Arrows, both their guys, did they both retire? No, one of them retired. Actually, Diniz finished ahead of Barrichello, so I'm not sure how he got worst manager. It's not a bad performance there by Diniz, but they do have a decent car. Better than ours anyway, at least. But yeah, Herbert, of course, managed to score points in the last race, so Schumacher only 5th after being on pole, which is a bit of a surprise for him. But a good performance there from both the Williams and McLaren guys there. And as you can see, the retirements, yeah, it was Magnussen with an engine failure, so it's a little bit harsh on him, I guess, in that regard. So, of course, as you can see, McLaren 16 points, Williams 7, Ferrari 2, Sauber 1. Coulthard leads the Drivers' Championship from Hakkinen, which is a bit of a surprise considering the difference in their stats. But yeah, that's what we're looking at there. So yeah, not really much to go through here. We can go through that in a second. So next thing up, guys, is our drivers. We're going to try and sign a driver. We're going to see if we can maybe either retain Barrichello or sign someone else. We have Nakano agreed, but I'd like to get someone in like Coulthard or indeed Ralf Schumacher. Coulthard, of course, just wants a slightly better salary, so we're going to try that. We're going to offer him this, but unfortunately, he says the salary is not good enough. It's not what he's looking for at this stage. We'll try Ralf Schumacher as well. And Ralf Schumacher doesn't want to go with us because the driver for next season isn't a very good team player. Now, the only other option I could think of was Giancarlo Fisichella, but up his deal to 2.8 million. And all of a sudden, he's got loads of reasons why he doesn't want to join us, on top of the fact that the salary isn't quite what he is looking for. As you can see there, we tried to sign Panis last race, but unfortunately, he went with someone else. Takagi would be a good option. He's better than Nakano, so we're going to try and get him again. He actually has accepted the offer, and we might take that for next season, guys. He's a really good driver for a paid driver, and he's paying us 6.4 million, which wouldn't be a bad way to get the team up and running. Barrichello, of course, really good driver, as we know. We'll try and get him. Barrichello again refuses. So we're going to wait a race to see what's happened, and if we don't manage to convince either Coulthard or Ralf Schumacher, we will take, I believe, Tor Takagi there in that respect as well. And of course, we already know Diniz is our driver coming in. He's going to offset that 1.2 million salary that Magnussen has with his own 9.6 million that he's bringing in. So in fact, we'll have a 10.8 million surplus, which makes up for the Ford engine deal. We're going to try and get a commercial here now. So we've obviously got this Yvette. I think that's a woman's name. If anyone believes differently, then tell me in the comments, lads. So we can't. So we'll just sign this Yvette Galmont person. bring them in for next season as well. Design, we need to get rid of Hamady. He is absolutely atrocious in this game. We might try and sign Neil Oatley, actually. Let's try and give him a 2 million salary. We've got Neil Oatley, lads, and that's a coup for our team. Now, yes, he's on 6 times the salary that Hamady is on, but this is a really good sign, and this should really help us for 1999, so we've got a good chance to progress up the grid. With John Barnard and Neil Oatley, we'll have a really good chassis, I believe, for 2000, so it's important we got those guys down as well. And Stapleton coming in, of course, to replace Redding. The only mistake we made in the last episode was not bringing him in earlier, because that could have helped their mechanics out a bit more. But yeah, other than that, not looking too bad there, guys, on the staff front. Pretty good signings, I think. The next thing we got to look at there, of course, is the sponsors. So sponsors. So you would have seen in the last episode, we can't get any team deals, which is a major. It's a huge problem for us, but it's going to be tough for us to do anything. What we will try and do, we need to get this partner deal with Ford. If we can get the partner deal with Ford, it kind of alleviates a lot of the pressure on us in that respect. So we're going to try and get that partner deal with Ford. So we're going to take away a lot of these percentages here. And yeah, we're going to try and get that partner deal with Ford. It's not really a problem if we don't get it with other teams as such. Let's put it up to 50%. And what we'll do is we'll give 20% actually back to Bridgestone, because getting that... Actually, not with Bridgestone. We'll try and get it with Elf. I believe they're the fuel supplier. 2-season deal. 2 seasons is important, because at least then we don't have to negotiate with them, which saves us percentages next one as well as that. So yeah, that's the main message there in that regard. We're just going to quickly save there just in case something happens, because this game is notorious for shutting down and so on there as well. As you can see from the last race, we had 51% wear on our chassis from Barrichello, which isn't too bad. I'd rather have wear than damage from Magnussen. Just tells you how shocking he is. He managed to mess up the car a little bit. Terrible driver, and I can't wait to get rid of him for next season. So yeah, I was thinking quite deeply about what we'd do with the chassis and whether we'd have enough time, and I've decided against it. We're going to instead keep on developing our technology for now and the driving aids we have. There's no point of us focusing on the engine, because you know, there isn't really much point to doing anything with the engine. Like, we'll do a testing session here now and we'll show you. There's no point doing this. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just put this up a bit. And what's the research at? Research is at that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just take away 10% from that, and we'll put that up as well. And all those numbers are quite important, as you can see there. But more important than anything really is just getting this engine up to maximum. We'll do one engine upgrade, and we've got it there, which is really good for us. That's kind of what we needed. But yeah, what we'll do now, of course, is we'll try and get this part approved by the FIA. We'll see what they say. Probably no. They have approved it, guys. This is a big thing for us. It'll help us progress up the grid quite a bit. Because we'll be the first team to have a driving ed, and look at that, 75% of our guys' time is taken up. We are only able to build one spare part, and it costs us 67 grand. But the important thing is, guys, we're able to improve this Ford engine quite significantly now with 4 resource points. So I was thinking a bit about this. We're going to increase the rigidity a little bit, the power by 1, but the reliability by 2, and that should give us a much more complete Ford engine in terms of what we're looking at. The power upgrade, of course, is a no-brainer. Rigidity, we don't want to have our drivers, their wings falling off due to the vibrations of the engines, which we talked about in the last episode. So that's quite important there for us as well. So we're going to focus, going back here now, on automatic gears for the next race, with 50% on that, of course. And yeah, other than that now, guys, all we got to do is repair the chassis, which we have at this moment in time. And we're going to do that with Barrichello's one. And with Magnussen's one, we should be able to just about get there as well. We can indeed. It's just a shame we can't repair the damage on it, so we're just going to leave that out for now. But yeah, that's pretty much that done, guys. So now watch, we equip the power brakes on both cars, which will help us a lot in terms of that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. The only other thing we got to do with this episode, for now, we can check obviously the funding for next season. We're currently in 7th place. We won't stay there, guys. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be really difficult, because Benetton are obviously going to jump up the order, and you'd imagine the Arrows will be ahead of us as well. We'll be happy to stay ahead of Tyrrell and Minardi and just stay kind of where we are. But the other thing here is the regulations, so we need to keep an eye out on this. The 1998 chassis the 1999 chassis rather. Can we keep, or when can we start developing that? Because that will be the difference between how well we'll do next season. Will we be last, second last, or can we go a little bit further up? And as you can see here, we're the only guys at the moment who have approved our driving aids via the FIA. So yeah, I think that's everything, guys. What we're going to do, we're going to head into the second race of the season at Brazil. Thought it would crashed there for a second. Car setup hasn't actually been confirmed, so we must go back and do that. So we're going to have to hear that terrible song again, guys. Sorry about that. Oh, it's because we actually have setup points available. This is actually quite good. With Barrichello, we might bank on a wet race here. And with Magnussen, we might go for... let's increase that surface a little bit. It's a good thing I actually spotted that. That's a bit more performance there that we could have gotten. So we won't bother with that. That's just for you again. Of course, no changes to the drivers. No one has been injured or been fired yet. That can happen in this game, but it's quite rare in both scenarios. But I have seen it happen in games where drivers and directors can be fired or let go of their contracts, and drivers can get injured. So yeah, let's hop straight into qualifying. So 25 degrees. Not really much of a difference there. The wind speed high, and the conditions are dry, so that's okay for us. Barrichello, of course, going out in the soft tires, as you can see, 5 out of 10 grip on those. Magnussen, we're going to put him out in the hards, because again, we don't expect him to be doing exceptionally well here in that regard. So we're just going to put this on here. So let's see how they go. Not a great qualifying performance by our guys, lads. 17th and 18th. It is where the car is. We've got the 9th best car on the grid. Barrichello just edging out Magnussen by a 10th of a second. As you can see, it's pretty much two all the way up until Ferrari and McLaren, where Irvine obviously can't quite keep up with Schumacher, or maybe it's just Schumacher doing so well that he's able to get ahead of Coulthard there, which is really good. But other than that, it's like line of star there, you know, got the Benettons, the Jordans, the Saubers, the Prost, the Arrows. Deniso qualifying solo, a bit of a surprise. And Takagi and Rossett, of course. Rossett in last. He's an absolutely terrible driver, guys. Just a little backstory for you, actually. In the 1998 season, Ricardo Rossett managed to qualify outside the 107% time in Monaco. And his mechanics disliked him so much, or just thought he was such a joke of a driver, that they changed the writing on his car from Rossett, and they rearranged it. And his name backwards actually spells Tosser. So he was going around with his Tyrrell with the name R Tosser on the car. So yeah, that tells you what kind of a driver he is. He gets outpaced, like his teammates 4/10 up the road. But yeah, so not a great performance in qualifying, but I guess it is kind of to be expected there. Light rain. Now this could play into Barrichello's hands if he can manage to keep it out of the walls or something like that. You know, no failures come into it. So let's see how we do here. 23 degrees, average wind speed. So Barrichello now. Well, we'll see how Barrichello can do here. I have a bit of faith in him in the intermediate, so hopefully he can do something for us. Barrichello! Oh, he's almost in the points, lads. 7th position. So close there. And Magnussen, of course, well, he's the last of the guys to finish the race. 5 laps down, 2 laps behind Barrichello in the exact same car. It's a bit shocking, to be honest. But Barrichello's so close to that point. If he'd gotten that point, that would have at least secured us something for next season, something big. It would have given us a lot of hope that we could have worked with. But again, good reliability from Barrichello's car. Magnussen able to finish up this time as well. And yeah, for Frentzen in 2nd position there in the race, a really good performance by him. Schumacher and Hill, of course, are 2 5 out of 5 wet weather drivers, doing really well. Alesi as well is really good. It's a pity we couldn't get ahead of Villeneuve. He's not very good in the wet. That's just the performance in the car. But look at that. Coulthard retired. Hakkinen retired with an engine failure. Who else noticeable? Wirtz as well, of course. Panis, Nakano, Schumacher, Rossett, not with a driver. Fisichella crashed out by himself. Trulli with an unknown error. That's not a good sign when you get that message. But lads, so close. 7th position. If we had gotten that Barrichello at his home race, that would have been a fantastic story. Yeah, that's really frustrating. As you can see there now, the Drivers' Championship, Schumacher takes the lead, of course, on 12 points since Hakkinen and Coulthard both retired. Frentzen joins Coulthard in 2nd position on 10 points. Villeneuve, of course, moved up slightly as well. Damon, Hill, Alesi, and Herbert, they all move in there on top of that list to join the likes of Irvine, Hakkinen, and Coulthard as well. So yeah, good Drivers' Championship already lining up there. It's going to be tough for Schumacher because that McLaren is so much better. And in the Constructors, of course, McLaren's the lead with 16 points to Ferrari's 15, Williams on 14. So a good battle there between the top 3, but you'd expect McLaren and Ferrari to stretch their legs over Williams. Jordan on 4 points and Sauber on 3. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, there in that regard. Final thing we're just going to do, of course, is yeah, just have a kind of a quick look back over the episode. Just going to find out exactly who retired when. So Hakkinen retired in lap 6 with that engine failure. Just that Mercedes and giving out early, and Fisichella crashing out in lap 36. No other real noticeable incidents other than that. In terms of fastest laps, actually, Barrichello was the 5th fastest lap in the wet. Now, he's 2 seconds off Michael Schumacher, but then again, everyone else is 1.5 seconds off him. from hill downwards. So that's a really impressive lap time. It's a real shame we just couldn't get Jacques Villeneuve there. Like, he's over a second and a half quicker than Villeneuve's best lap time, but it's just because we're starting so far back. We just weren't able for it. But yeah, guys, look, thanks very much for tuning into that episode. Of course, we'll have another one up again tomorrow. So stay tuned and let us know if you like anything else.